Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Laps Down podcast. This is a special episode of Lapped Traffic. I'm joined here today by MJ. Do you want to say hi, MJ?
Hi.
And our special guest, Taylor Kitchen. Now, this one is exciting, y'all, because me and MJ used to literally, kind of joke because we didn't think it would ever actually happen. Like, what if someday we got Taylor Kitchen on the pod? This is long before we had spoken to her.
Yeah.
We were not mutuals with her. She did not know who we were. I cannot stress that enough, guys. So dreams come true. Meet your heroes. They sometimes can be really cool people. Do you want to say hi, Taylor?
Hi. Hopefully all of our heroes are cool people. That's a hope of mine. So
yeah.
Oh my gosh, so fun.
I'm being so serious, Taylor, though. Like, when we first started kind of watching NASCAR, you would always show up on our For You page and we were like, oh my God, there's a woman here. I couldn't find any of these anywhere. And it was like, I listened to your podcast on Spotify, your little 20-minute one after each race. We were like, we gotta someday have Taylor Kitchen on. And today's the day. Do you want to tell people a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, first off, I'm honored, so thank you so much. But yeah, I am just a gal who likes watching cars go in circles. And the journey started in 2016 after a lifetime of not watching racing at all because I thought it was kind of, lack of a better word, dumb. I finally watched a race with my grandma, and I was like, this is actually really intriguing. I played a ton of sports growing up. And it was just super different. She got me and my siblings to a race in 2017. And then I was like, okay, so this is what I'm going to be interested in the rest of my life. And basically I made it my personality. And then all of a sudden 2021, started a podcast at the same time as going to school for journalism and all this stuff. And from there, it turned into an actual career. And now I'm with Motorsport and I guess an abridged version of the journey. But that's what it's all been about, just talking about cars.
Don't worry about it being a bridge version, because we're going to get into the gritty details. Don't worry. We've done our research on Taylor Kitchen. Do you want to hit her with our first hard-hitting question, MJ?
Yeah, I mean, you did kind of talk about it a little bit, but just to dig a little deeper into it, how did you get into NASCAR? But then also, what drivers, what personalities, what teams did you support in the beginning? And how did it kind of change from oh, I'm tuning in every Sunday to this is actually my life now?
Yeah, so my grandma had watched NASCAR probably since I was born, so around the year 2000. And we would always go over to her house and she'd always have the TV on and the races on. And I'm like, I don't get it, but okay. But we weren't allowed to touch the remote. It was Mama's TV during the weekend. You didn't change it from the race. That was her thing. And so I'd go play outside with my siblings or my cousins or something like that. And then, I don't know what it was about the one day in 2016, because it was a Texas race. For NASCAR, it's not all that exciting at all. It used to be more exciting, but I digress. But I watched a race with her finally then, and I was like, what have I been waiting for? I didn't understand why. I just didn't sit and watch and just be open-minded to it. And then her and my grandpa had always gone to Kentucky Speedway for vacations, their yearly summer getaway. And she was like, okay, since you kind of like NASCAR now, and I was on Twitter at this point just talking all about it, she was like, do you and your brother and sister, do you guys want to go to the track with us for the weekend, just for fun, spend time with Mama and Papa and watch a race? And I was like, sure, why not? And it was at that point when everyone says it, you smell the fuel, you see all the fans, you smell the burning rubber and you're like, oh my God, this is larger than life, super cool. And at that point I was I wanted to be a larger part of this. I just didn't know how. And just in that came social media, talking with other fans. And then in 2018, because apparently I was so crazy on Twitter, just nonstop posting and whatnot, the Xfinity series actually reached out to me through DMs and they're like, hey, we see you're a really big fan. We'd love to give you and your family hot passes for the cup race or for the race weekend, on us, whatever. And so after telling my grandma it was not a scam, I said yes. And so then
it's good she's vigilant.
No, she's very vigilant. I was like, Mama, I swear, they have the check mark and everything. They're pros, it's fine. And luckily it worked out. Because once I got onto pit road and I was able to actually meet the drivers and be super close to the cars. And I think one of the first drivers I actually talked to was Ryan Blaney, which is the driver that I started being a really big fan of. Him and Chase Elliott were my two drivers that I started off with. But at that point I was I want to do this as a career. That was the point for me when I was actually on pit road and I was around everything. So from that point on, I went into college, I guess like 2018 as well. Started my degree in film production. Then I changed my degree multiple times and went to journalism after being like, this is the right path for me to be in the industry, do what I love, etc. And then everything else kind of followed suit. But like I said, I really liked Chase Elliott. I really liked Ryan Blaney. And then my focus as a fan really shifted to like Penske. Just, I love their online presence. It was so fun. Like Penske games.
Are you a Penske
and, like,
game? Yeah.
Penske games.
It's
Yeah.
always
No,
the
I get
Penske
it.
games, folks. You
It's
see one video of Elio Castroneves doing Chubby Bunny and you're hooked. I get it.
We're sold.
No, 1,000%. That was the hook for me because I was like, these drivers have personality. Oh my God, like crazy. Like I know who they are as human beings. Like it was easier to relate to them. And then like years following, I've gotten my, I guess now fiance, into NASCAR, and like he's a big Penske fan. His mom is a big Penske fan. My grandma's a big Ryan Blaney fan. I'm like, it runs in the family, all the Penske love. So that's the journey.
That's good to know we have an ally for getting Penske games back, because like I feel like we're losing like the ancient texts a little bit. I mean, I'm a pretty newer fan. I didn't even know these existed. And then MJ one day was like, I'm going to change your life. Did you know Penske games is just right here on YouTube? Tons of stuff. Yeah. You mentioned, I think, like your parents briefly. So like, did your parents watch NASCAR at all? Because I found that when I talk to a lot of newer motorsport fans, they talk a similar story about like their grandparents watching NASCAR or something like that. And maybe now they are like a F1 fan or something like that. And it's weird how it seems like motorsports kind of skipped a generation. And a lot of people have memories of their grandparents watching motorsports, but not their parents.
Yeah, no, my parents didn't watch NASCAR at all. Like they knew about it because of like my grandma and stuff, but they didn't care. And now like they're watching the races every weekend. Like now I'm in North Carolina. My parents are back in Ohio where I'm from. And like my mom will be like, are you watching the race? And I'm like, yes, it's my job. But like, I love that you're watching it too. And like, we'll talk about it. Like this past weekend I was out of town and my dad like had texted me like in all caps Blaney. And I'm like, no, what happened? I was like, what happened? What happened? And like, obviously wrecked out of Vegas. But they started watching it as I got to start getting like really invested in it. Cause I think for me, it was kind of a way to just, chat, interact with their daughter in a sense. Yeah. So it became kind of like a family thing. And then I actually got them to their first race in 2022. I think it was the Coca-Cola 600. And my dad did not like going to a race in person. My mom loved it though. And I'm hoping to get her out to another one soon. But they kind of took the plunge with me, which I appreciated. It was very supportive.
You were like, you're getting in for the long haul. We're doing the Coke 600. Good luck.
Yeah, maybe not the best race to start them off with. But
no, I like it. I like it. It's like, get in here, buddy. This is like the big one. I feel like we have a lot of like younger gals that are like, I want to get a job in motorsports. And I've always felt like, you can go for the job in motorsports. You can also like keep it as a hobby, and like knowing, how did you know, like it's no longer just a hobby for me. It has to be my career, because I feel like it's hard to tell sometimes when you're like a young person trying to like figure out your career for yourself.
That's such a good question. Cause like they intersect. And I think for not everyone, but for a lot of people who start off in sports, you work in sports because you love sports. It's your hobby, it's your pastime. You can remember growing up watching a certain team. You can remember maybe going to a game with like a friend or whatever. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. So for me, they kind of just intersected. I think the point for me where it turned at least like hobby into like career actually was more so like, I want to say 2022. It's like when my podcast got picked up by another outlet, Toby Christie, which shout out, great mentor to me, great friend. He was like, hey, like, I love your content and stuff. Like, would you want to have it on our platform? And at that point in my mind, I was like, this could be a career. Like I can actually make a living off of this, et cetera. And that was kind of more so when I was like, okay, I have to choose a lane and pick a lane here. But like, when it went from hobby to work, it was such a gradual progression. I don't really know. And I think, and you two can probably relate to this too, like, I love the idea of like, if you're working a job that you love, it's like you never work a day in your life, like that type of mindset. And I love what I do so much. Sometimes it doesn't feel like work. And then I'm like, oh, I've been staring at my laptop for like 8 hours straight and I need to touch grass. And then you're like, oh, okay, this was work. But that's such a tricky thing to pinpoint though, because it's just, it was so gradual.
I try to like reaffirm some younger folks that there is sometimes a beauty in like a job where it just pays for your hobbies. So
yes,
you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, as long as I can go to the race and I make enough money to do that, then it's great. But like, there is, I think, a lot of people that like it crosses over and they're like, I could do this for the rest of my life. It's not just like a interest right now.
Yeah, and that's a tricky point too, because you might get into it. And I actually had a conversation with a colleague about this whole thing too, because he's been teaching a bunch of like college kids kind of about motorsports and like, hey, if you want to actually have this as a career, here's what you actually have to do. And a lot of them were like, oh, like that's too much work. I like this when it was like fun. I'm going to keep this fun.
Yeah.
And so I think the line is different for a lot of people. For me, it just, this is kind of all I've ever known. And I've loved it so much. And I'm like, I'm okay with it being both. There's long hours and there's long nights and there's no weekends. And during the season, you have 0 weekends at all. But then that makes the off season a little sweeter and the holidays a little sweeter. But it is tough. And I think there's some point too, and I don't think there's any shame in this for anybody, where you are working in this industry for years. And then one day you're like, I just don't like this anymore. Or you're like, I want this to be a hobby. I've lost the joy. And like, that's fine too. It wears you down. And I'm saying this like, I don't know. I started this all really like in 2021. I'm this 2025, but it's exhausting.
Hey, we've all been through a lot in the last couple of years.
Oh my God. No, the last couple of years we've all been through.
20s come at you fast.
Like, they really do. But no, it is such a good point though, where I don't think there's any shame in people saying, you know what, like I love this, but I don't think I can do it. And some people, like I know, I mean, they'll have a full-time job and they'll do like podcasting or stuff on the side. And like, that's what I did. I mean, I worked like 4 jobs at once, but like sometimes it's the launching point you need to like get to a career if you want it, or this is the fun hobby that you have outside, and that's okay.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of like showbiz in a way, where a lot of people have the day job sometime too. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm on Broadway someday, but I have to like wait the tables for now to like pay the bills. I feel like every time I go to a race and I like meet people who I think are like full-time content creators, they always have like something like day job. I'm like, oh, okay, so we're all doing this. Okay, that's good. And it's good to know that like the fantasy of being like fully in motorsports, sometimes you have to get the lucky break, just like, you know, showbiz.
The transparency is a huge thing. I mean, honestly, like, don't like the Taylor Swift album, don't like her new album, hot take, but like in my brain, I'm just like,
welcome
showbiz. Yeah. I was like, it wasn't good, but I'm like,
it's the life of the showgirl, but it's just us 3 being like, guys, motorsports podcasting. Let me fucking tell you,
podcaster.
I gotta edit. Sometimes the audio sucks. It's a lot.
Oh yeah.
I'm kind of talking about like the beginning of your content creation journey. You're a big, as Andrea already mentioned, you were like a big beacon for us when we were like, we want to talk about NASCAR, but we're like, we don't see any women in NASCAR. And then it was just like, you shined through the clouds. It was like Taylor Kitchen. She's the NASCAR it girl. Like, we can talk about NASCAR. Taylor talks about NASCAR. But when you were getting into content creation, it was quite a while ago. So who did you, or was there anybody at the time that you could be like, oh, no, women do belong in NASCAR. They should, and they can take up space. And then also, do you have any recommendation for women specifically who are interested in like stepping into NASCAR content creation, or just like being a NASCAR fan in general as a woman and existing in this space?
I was gonna say, because sometimes it's brutal to be I had an maybe I'll talk about it, I don't know, but I had a really bizarre experience at the Roval. Like, really bizarre experience at the Roval with just
only beautiful experiences can happen though, Taylor. Right?
Yeah, like, what are we talking about?
Is a utopia.
Nothing crazy ever happens ever.
Yeah. It's a beautiful place. Everybody holds hands and sings. Everybody knows that.
Dude, I wish. Because, like, there's moments, like, where it's just, like, I don't care. I'm just doing what I love to do. And then there's other moments, like, at the Roval, like, in the fan zone for me, there was a really bizarre moment that would only happen to a woman. And I'm like, like, why are we behaving this way? Like, why do men act this way towards women in a male-dominated space? But, like, to answer, I guess, the first part of your question, the way I was raised, and my dad basically, the way he raised me was more so just like, you do whatever you want to do, like, put your mind to it, you're fine. There was no, because you're a woman, XYZ. Like, obviously, it's like, you know, make sure you're safe. Like, I want you to be with a good guy. Like, that'll, like respect you. Like, all that type of stuff, right? That a dad does. But for me, it was just like, I didn't have any women where I was like, because they're doing it, I can do it too. I was just like, I love NASCAR, so I want to do it. Like, there was never any pressure for me because of gender, but I also think it's because I never really found myself in those positions before where my gender was an issue, I guess, in a space. Obviously, like, you look up to like the Caitlin Vincey's, the Jamie Littles, and I think as I was getting more and more into like the professional space, I was like, I want to be like them. Especially like Caitlin Vincey, Heather DeBow, all those women are phenomenal. But for me, like getting into everything, never really threw me off. And then it was funny because once I got into it, just kind of like what you guys were saying, which I appreciate so much, everyone was like, I saw Taylor doing this and like I thought I could do it too. And I didn't recognize myself as being that way because I just went in there and made content because I wanted to. So that was pretty cool. But I think for me, and this is the advice I have based off of my experience, but it's just like, don't think of racing or sport as something that's gendered. Of course, gender is going to come up. It's going to. And a lot of what I studied in college as well was like gender issues and social issues in sport. So like very well versed in all of it. But for me, when I stopped looking at sport as a gendered space, I felt more free to just be myself and just do what I love and be around what I loved and making friends and stuff like that. And I think what's great about NASCAR now and motorsports in general is it is more open to women and it is more open to differing perspectives and differing ways of life and things like that. And I think the more we have people in the space that are very open about being who they authentically are, the more welcome somebody else is to feel like their authentic selves in the space. And so my hope is recognizing that I have that sort of influence on other women to feel more welcome or more invited into the space and offer a hand and say, hey, like, I actually had at the Roval, a good experience at the Roval. A young gal and her father actually came up to me and the dad was like, this is the gal I was talking about on TikTok. And he goes, you like my daughter and I, we watch your content. It got her into NASCAR and now she wants to be a journalist. And I'm like, that's freaking cool. Like I lost my shit bawling in person, like in front of this dad and his daughter. But I was like, if you ever need anything, if I could offer any pointers, any guidance, like as you're like wanting to move through your career, like let me know. And like, I'm no stranger to like handing out an email or my LinkedIn profile or whatever, like to be able to help. I guess long story long for that too. It's if there are other women in the space or you're just extend a hand, offer help, offer advice, offer whatever you can. And I think the more we can communicate with each other in that way, as opposed to, I think sometimes gatekeeping is a thing that happens a lot in motorsports, especially within like with females in motorsports. Sometimes, even though we hope it doesn't,
limited opportunities.
Competition.
Yeah.
I just don't look at it as competition. Like there is limited space like in certain fields in motorsports, absolutely, but there is space for everyone to enjoy and love the sport and help each other out is what I would say. Like the moment I stopped looking at it as gendered and competition, my life just felt so much better and the doors opened.
I think that it's interesting. You mentioned earlier, like getting your start like on Twitter almost in a way, like getting like Xfinity to notice you on Twitter. And that's like kind of, I think like you existing unapologetically as yourself and maybe not realizing in the moment, in a way you were being kind of brave. I mean, I can't imagine like even now, a grown woman, I tweet something and I'm like, this is the one, they're going to have my head for it. Because like just existing as a woman in any sport and like being outward, not just in like a journalistic way, but like having an opinion on a sport or like having a hot take on a sport. It's like, that's how men interact about sports on the daily. But there's something different about like the way women are expected to interact with sports. We're not supposed to like just get on Twitter and like, you know, maybe give a hot take on Twitter in the same way that like men have been doing for decades. You know what I'm saying? So like in a way, you might have been being very brave, Taylor, and telling everyone else like, go ahead, it's fine out here. Just say what you want about NASCAR. But like you were blazing a trail, whether you knew it or not.
Well, that's the funny thing because it's like a lot of people now post because they want the VIP passes or they post because they want the driver to like send them free shit. And I'm like, I post it because I love the sport. And honestly, if you're posting from a genuine place, like for me, nothing else mattered. Like you'll get the stupid comments of like the guys being like, what does she know? And like all that type of stuff. And you're like, awesome. I think it's so interesting just being in the online space. But yeah, just like just post what you want. Like, just say your opinions. I like to back up my opinions with fact, which helps me out a little bit if there is some pushback from certain people. But you know what? And that's okay.
I respond with, it's just vibes. I thought that's what we were all doing here.
But there is a standard, though. This feels so bad to say, maybe it's not, but I just never cared. Like, I did me.
That's wonderful.
So we started watching you when ATYL existed, as in like you and your content. And then I remember the day that you were like, I'm I'm going to announce something. And then like a couple weeks later, it was like ATYL Media. Like, where did you like starting by just maybe talking about NASCAR on Twitter come to like, I want to get in front of the camera and film myself for ATYL? And then like, and what if I bring other folks into this and make a full media company? Like, what did that progression look like for you?
So it started off as like an audio only podcast because I didn't want to mess with a camera. That terrified me. And then I was like, next step, got to use a camera. And I used like this old 2012 like DSLR like Canon camera or whatever to just film videos. Awful quality, but like it was a starting point. And then I was like, well, I know how to edit because I taught myself Premiere and like so started off that way. And then when I got to have my content on a different platform with TobyChristie.com, I was like, he's helped me so much get to kind of where I need to go, making connections, bettering my content, really helped me with writing in the NASCAR space. And I was like, I really hope that other people get these opportunities. Like I saw what he did and helping other people kind of reach the next level. And I wanted to do the same. I was like, I just don't know how to do that. So as that thought was in my mind, I started meeting other content creators and I was like, oh, I love collaborating with these other people. Cause a lot of times you go to collaborate with folks and you never know what to do because everyone has their own type of content, their own set of like opinions and things. And they kind of want to keep it separate because it's like their own branding themselves. And it's kind of odd. Like when you see like a YouTube collaboration with any content creator, like, oh, it's a crossover event that I never thought I needed, but was super cool. Or sometimes you're like, that didn't work out. So my thing was like, how can I collaborate with other people in a way that's meaningful, but can also help them reach the next level when I felt like I had enough kind of, I guess, weight underneath me to be like, I can actually help people who want to take their content or their career to the next level. So I want to say this was last July, or maybe last August. I reached out to like Sal and John because those were the two first content creators that I'd really collaborated with. And I was like, I have a crazy idea. What if, like, I was like, hear me out. What if we created like a media like group? And at this point, it was undecided with the name. I really honestly just thought about Above the Line Media, but I was like, maybe we do something different. But I was like, I want it to be different than anything else we see out there because we're actually going to collaborate and we're going to actually do journalistic stuff. We're going to get people at the track. And at this point, I'd been doing marketing for some drivers. I'd help with driver development programs. Like I've done a lot on the business side of the sport too, where I felt confident kind of launching this. And they were like, okay, like, let's talk about what this looks like. My core 5 or original 5, I guess 4, with Adam, Dom, Ben, and Rob, who all kind of met through my single podcast. I was like, here's what I'm thinking. Are you guys in to kind of help with this? And they said, yes. Then I was like, well, let's try to find other content creators too that can kind of cover all motorsports. And so then I found Alex Anderson or Newgate in on social media who covered our IndyCar stuff for a time because I collaborated with him and he was fantastic. And then Buddy Pooley, like literally being the coolest guy you will ever meet. Just saying, like, we all love Buddy.
Like we are so happy we met you and everyone else at A2I, but you brought Buddy into our lives, Taylor.
Well,
like it's so important to us. Like Buddy is like everything. I'm like, I didn't even know what car store was. I would have never found you.
Buddy he has such a just energy around him that is infectious. And I'm like, and I met him through like working with Toby. And I was like, hey, so like, I want to do some short track stuff. What are your thought processes for next year? And like, what are you doing? And he was like, well, and he started talking about like his show on tour. And I was like, okay, cool. So now you're with us. And so we kind of had this group. And then we got Big Duke in originally for sim racing, then turned to NHRA. And then once we had this kind of all together, we announced it like the week or two after the Martinsville race last fall. It was like the first or so week of the off season when we announced all this, and we just kind of slowly built it. But the process from just doing a single podcast to that really was just seeing how others had helped me kind of fit in the space and me wanting to be able to do that along with the business like background that I had working with the drivers and stuff. And it all just kind of culminated. I don't know. Pronunciation, whatever. Hard. But it all went to that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was Above the Old Line to ATYL Media, the progression of everything.
I think you have really done a lot of what you sought out to do with the initial intention, which is like, you have given us a lot of opportunities to kind of go to the next level with IndyCar content. And like, I think it's very mature in many ways to be like, I'm ready to like already kind of help people when like, like you said, it is such a competitive space, and sometimes people can be
Yeah.
like, I've cracked the code and I'm not gonna share the secrets. But now I'm like, Taylor Kitchen's giving us all her secrets. Yay.
And like, I hate when people gatekeep. It's like my least favorite thing. But like, I'm always looking at other content creators. Even when like I have our group and I'm like, we can't expand right now. I'm like you two had come up like so early on in like the process of when we had things. I was like, I need to figure out where they're gonna fit. But like, I wanted to reach out to you guys for like so long.
We're tough fit.
You're like, no, but like my thing was like, I wanted you guys to have a space that you could really make your own on the team. And so then when Alex was like, I need to step aside, and like I was like maybe a co-host or whatever, and I was like, hey, like, would you mind if we kept the show, like, or kept the branding, but like we introduced new hosts? And he's like, oh, totally fine. I was like, okay, MJ and Andrea, like I gotta, and I was like, gotta call you. But I mean, Alex does such a good job setting up for laughs and stuff, and you guys have done such a great job taking it over. But I think for me, like even just outside of motorsports, you guys probably know this, probably don't, but I had like a few years where like my health was just dog shit, and I got really, really sick. I left college. I lost like 40 pounds. It was a whole like, it was a rough time. And in that time, like I had a lot of help getting back to where I could be functional again, whether it was doctors, my parents, like there was people that really believed in me, and I wanted to carry that forward to a career, whatever I did. And I'm like, this is my way of helping as well. Is just kind of helping people find where they fit. A lot of the help that I think the doctors, parents stuff gave me was like, I found my spark for life again. And that's a lot of what motorsports did for me too. So I wanted to help other people do that with our crazy psychotic group of content creators.
Yeah. No, it really,
here.
it's a very like eclectic group of folks. And honestly,
really
I would have it anyway. I would have talked to, I would have like even had the opportunity to talk to some of these folks if it were not for ATYL. And I was like, it's so weird. We're all here on live right now talking about motorsports, but yeah, it's great. It's a little weird though. We're a weird group of folks, but I love it.
It's so fun.
You've talked a lot about kind of trying to like melt together motorsport and content creators, like even in the capacity of like the actual series, bringing in content creators. And I just want to know a little bit more about where you think it could be headed, or like what the we have a special guest.
I'm so sorry. It's a lot.
That caught me out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, what's happening to Andrea right now?
Let me have a physical altercation with my cat while you ask the question.
But I wanted to know like what your goal would be for some of these series to start implementing like motorsport content creators in like their daily advertising or content.
Yeah, it's so tough. And I think we've even talked about this before too. Lots of people abuse the system, and it can impact growth for opportunities for content creators who want to make this a full-time thing, or want to at least take the next step in their careers or just on their hobby, right? So my goal is that every series has an independent content creation group or independent content creation kind of program, different from a media credential where you get access to like everywhere, whatever. Because I do think there is a place for, content creators to be in the garage and whatever, but maybe not in like the deadline room, because that's a little, uncharted waters there. But I think there is a way for all of these series to create programs specifically for content creators. And I guess you can throw influencers in there too. I mean, I know those terms are kind of interwoven a little bit. I kind of think more so influencers are more like if you're bringing a beauty guru to the track, like they don't know anything about motorsports for the most part. Some do, which is fantastic. Some don't. But you have them at the track to give them the experience. The content creators there are more so we understand the space. We're making content around this thing already. And I want to elevate it through creative and fun means. And I think there's a way to do that, whether it is you have 30 minutes where you bring in some drivers to have these content creators do content, or the series does a better job of coordinating content, which I will say, Osley at NASCAR, she's kind of in charge of like the NASCAR influencer stuff and whatever. She's done an incredible job kind of coordinating all of that too for NASCAR. NHRA just started a content creator program a few months ago, I guess this year, and they invited us out to go to our first race, and it was the coolest experience ever. I just want more series to follow suit, and the hope is that the content creators that these series choose to work with respect those rules, the boundaries, etc., and set a good example going forward, because I think that's what hurts the growth of these types of programs. I will say NASCAR too. There was a time earlier this season where they were reaching out to content creators that they were close with and trusted to start something like this, or at least get a sense of what the direction they needed to go. And unfortunately, I don't think those discussions went anywhere after the first month, after I was talked to and a few others were talked to. And I'd love to see those discussions picked up again. But it's going to take a lot of trust. And I think a lot of times too, it goes back to some folks are, using the social media and the content creation of it to simply get free stuff or whatever. It's making sure that when these series are working with folks, or when these content creators are wanting to work with these series, it's for good intentions. So there's, I guess, long story long, there's so many, I guess, intricacies as to why, like, the content creation space in motorsports is so tricky. But I think if I will say content creators in the space, like, do this responsible thing with these opportunities, I think it could go a long way.
It is like, I feel like motorsports content creation, and like, I'm not the biggest sports gal outside of motorsports, but it is kind of a weird space. Like, I don't really ever see, like, in football, like, there's just like somebody that like got a media pass that's like making TikToks on the sideline. But like, it's for the better, I think. Like, I think like there is some movement where like maybe more traditional media or like journalists have their role, but then there is a role for like, like filming a TikTok or something like that. And I think there's also a role for, like you said, the beauty guru who truly knows nothing about motorsports, who's like there as like a VIP for like a team or something. It's weird though, like how much the worlds have melded together. There are some people that like make content that I'm like, I get more from you than like traditional media journalism. I want you to be able to ask the drivers questions, because you're asking the questions that maybe like traditional like Fox or something like that can't ask.
Right.
But like, it's like, weird.
Traditional media is not going to be able to ask a driver, like, what is the worst, like, topping on a pizza or whatever. And, like, I don't know, like some crazy fun question that could lead to some really interesting debate for social media. Like, that's not the place of a traditional media person. That is the place of a content creator to ask that. Like, there's a few really good content creators out there that really just have question and answer formats, and they go to the racetrack and stuff like that. And like, that's content that we love, and that gets a lot of views. And so you reach this dilemma, I think, for like whether it's NASCAR comms or IndyCar comms people, where they're like, okay, like, where do we hold space for in media? What's going to help our brand like get out more? And a lot of times it's with content creators. Traditional media, they're telling the factual stories, but they might not be telling like the fun content personality driven stories, right? So it's finding a balance, and I think there's a place for both. And I think what's interesting too, because you bring up like how media has kind of changed over time with content creation. Like, you see how traditional media has had to change what they've done. Like, I'll see some reporters who have never had a phone like and a driver's face in their life now having phones and driver's faces, asking questions, having a microphone. I'm like, last year to this year was a huge difference in how some people have operated at the track. Like, I don't want to name names because I don't want to like call people out. That's not the point, but it's more so like, it's different what some folks have done in the past, because they're trying to keep up with the younger generation, the content creation thing, what's bringing in revenue and clicks. And it's so fascinating. And to your point too, like, you don't see content creators like on the sidelines at a football game, like, or you don't see them like courtside, because I mean, one, there's no space for it, but two, it's just, I don't think those sports are there yet. And because like basketball, baseball, football, stuff like that, like, they have a much larger fan base. I think when you open the floodgates there, like, it's hard. You
would have a lot closing.
Yes.
Yeah. It's also like interesting. You mentioned like the fun questions content creators can ask. I feel like so much in a way like free labor is done by content creators to like market a sport. You know what I mean? Because like that's what does get people to tune in. And it's interesting. You look at like NASCAR. I think people are starting to be like, oh, it turns out Carson Hocevar being on Twitch and being funny and clipping himself on TikTok is great marketing for our sport. And like, we've maybe never considered that. Whereas like compared to F1, like they don't do this silly goofy. Like very rarely do I see an F1 driver like doing something silly goofy. They surely aren't on Twitch, like interacting with fans and like growing the fan base in that way. Like it's interesting. I think content on TikTok and stuff like that has really changed a lot of people's understanding of how to grow a sport. Maybe football will someday be like, okay, we might need some people doing some dances on the sideline. It might help. I don't know. You mentioned previously you did like some PR and like social media sort of stuff for drivers. Like in what what does that career truly look like? Because that's the one that people always are like, I would love to do PR or like social media for a team or a driver. What does that career look like? And how do you prepare for a career in that way? What advice would you give people that want to do that?
So first off, I'm glad you asked about this because this is a part of my career and journey that a lot of people either don't know about or just they gloss over. But it is a huge part of us to like how I became like a businesswoman, like with what I'm doing, how I know how to set up certain things and cold call and get sponsors and whatever. Like it's a huge thing. And for the PR perspective, very untraditional path, very untraditional way of doing it. Like in terms of like going with drivers to the track, I've never done that myself. So might not be the best person to ask about that, but there is a huge component of motorsports where there are communications and PR reps for some drivers that are back home. Like a lot of it was writing press releases for drivers. A lot of it was going on social media and being like, hey, so this thing that you retweeted or this thing that you posted, like just want you to be mindful of these things or might want to be careful. Or it is like, hey, you had a fan reach out to you for this or whatever. Like I can send a hero card. Can you sign it? Like some of those things behind the scenes is like what you can do. A lot of times it is a lot of more so instead of public relations. It's like publicist work where you're pitching stories about your drivers. Like I used to work with Team Hornaday Development, all of the Ron Hornaday Development drivers like Landon Lewis, Isaac Kitzmiller, all those drivers who were wonderful to work with. And a lot of it was pitching their stories to media. And some of them, like my friends, some of them were just like, I've never met these media people in my life, but this driver has a really cool story. Like talk to them. And if you don't want to talk to them, like let's figure out like what I can do at least for you to kind of pitch a story or something like that. So a lot of it is communications work in that regard. The sponsorship thing is learning how to cold call. Learning how to send cold emails. Cold calling is like the worst freaking thing in life. I hate it. You guys are shaking your heads too. Like it's the worst. It's scary and terrifying, but something you got to do. But I think advice for getting into the space too is like, I do believe when it comes to PR, some of my major and minor dove into PR and I did like a PR course or two. So I don't have my degree in PR, but having some sort of PR training, huge for getting into the space. It is a form of legitimacy when you go into that space and you put in your resume. Anything communications wise too, I think will help as well. I think another thing I would add to that too is like, if you're able to work with drivers at like the grassroots level at any capacity, whether it is photography, whether it is videography, communications, graphic design, like whatever it is, that's a huge thing to have on your resume too. So when you start to apply for like larger things, you can say, hey, I work with so-and-so at, let's say just like Eldora Speedway or whatever. And I was their publicist, did PR on a small scale, but like, here's a sample of work I can do. I would say for anyone like looking to get into motorsports period, even outside of just PR, like making sure that you're starting to have those things on your resume, go to your local short tracks. And the way my career worked was a little backwards in a sense, where I started the podcast thing. I really went straight to just covering Cup. And then I got my opportunity to work with Racing America. And then I kind of went back to grassroots. So I kind of worked things upside down a little bit. But I would say grassroots route, practicing writing, PR, even to like if a college that's local to you or an online something has like a PR type of certificate or whatever, do those too. I think those never hurt, especially to brush up on your skills.
Yeah, I'm happy I have MJ to advise me on all PR related issues. You know, she's a good person to go to if I'm like, am I going to have to notes app apology for this one?
The only reason I'm on Twitter is to keep an eye on Andrea, if I'm being completely honest.
I was like unsupervised for like 24 hours and I made a whole mess of it. So she was like, that's it. I'm re-downloading the app. You're done.
Well, sometimes you got to like put the pauses. And I will say, I'll talk about this driver. So Howie DeSavino, he did part-time Xfinity a few years back. And I started working with him. And now I consider him like a brother. We're like best friends. And back then when we first started, his boss was his Austin Terrio, ARCA champ, was like, I just want to let you know, like, Howie, he's a boy, so he might have his own idea of like how to do things, or he might think what is right is right. He goes, you tell him what you think is right to do and he'll do it. And Howie's always been very respectful, whatever. And as I learn more about him, I'm like, okay, we can push the limits a little bit more because like this is you. And so I think as you form the relationship, like with the driver you're working with, like you understand them more, you understand when to push, when to pull on certain things, whether it be online or whatever. Or sometimes it's, hey, Howie, like social media is very important. So you got to do it, and having him understand the importance of social media, which he fully gets and understands, but some drivers just don't. And it really pisses me off where they're like, oh, like I'm not getting sponsors, but I hate social media. I'm like, well,
yeah,
like, yeah, it's a struggle, but Like it's so funny though. Like I think back to like some of like the early conversations of trying to like PR train driver and especially diving into social media and being like, okay, like you're in a timeout for maybe just today, or like
Yeah.
I will rewrite this thing, I'll fix it. Like so many fun things, just learning experiences.
If you had to guess, what percentage of NASCAR Cup drivers have access to their social media accounts?
Oh God. Maybe not even access. It's who actually posts as themselves.
Yeah, like who actually
Yeah.
uses their social media as themselves?
I'd say like 15%, maybe 20. I think maybe 20. I think. Like
Oh my God,
I
it's all a
honestly think
lie.
it's more. I think it's more. I really do. But like, kind of a peek behind the curtain to like race weekends for my drivers at the grassroots level. Again, grassroots level and NASCAR Cup Series, very different how things function. But like when it comes to them posting at the track as themselves, a lot of drivers will do it themselves. All the drivers I worked with was, hey, when I'm at the track, my phone's not on me. I keep it down so I can focus on racing and refining my craft.
Mhm.
So they'll have like a family member, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is, like post for them, and I'll coordinate with them or coordinate like with a friend for them. So a lot of times and like during the week, then their social media is theirs. Like I like Chase Elliott at the Cup Series. I don't know how often he's actually on social media himself, but like midweek he might like scroll or maybe post something, whatever. But like race weekend, highly doubt it's actually him. It's his PR rep putting a phone in his face and saying, hey, can you say something? And that's just how it typically is, because these drivers don't have time to put together concepts and whatever, unless you're Carson Hocevar and you figure out and crack the code. And now you're like a social media online star. So, but it's so interesting. I mean, I would love to know the actual number. Maybe we have to do some investigative journalism here. But I definitely think it's higher than 20%, but I definitely think it's lower than like 60%, somewhere in there.
I think like drivers' algorithms must be like totally screwed up, because like when we post like on TikTok, I will say like when we post about like NASCAR, like there's been a couple times we've gotten like the Carson Hocevar like, and I'm like, this poor kid, he probably gets on TikTok and everything's about NASCAR. So I feel like a lot of them, like I know in F1, they like joke that a lot of them have like secondary accounts because they were tired of seeing stuff about themselves. Like when they would get on TikTok, they'd be like, yes, I'm Alex Albon. I don't want to see Alex Albon TikTok. But like, I think it's funny. I see a lot of like NASCAR drivers and stuff. They're like, you know, in the weeds a little bit with NASCAR content. If you post something about NASCAR, there's a chance that somebody could see it because the algorithm just feeds it straight to them. Some of them are on Reddit even. I see them on Reddit sometimes.
Chase Briscoe loves Reddit. And I'm like, hell yeah, Chase Briscoe. Like, good for you. No, it's crazy too, because like for Carson Hocevar as well, like you had that instance months ago with Mexico, like where he's like, no one's going to watch my stream and clip something. People clipped it. Like even like for drivers, even media members, like you might not think people are watching all your content. They are. I posted, this would have been 2 years ago. I had like a thumbnail about Texas being like an awful race or whatever, something like that. And I had like in my thumbnail. And this was when I was with Toby Christie just starting off. And Toby like messaged me. He goes, hey, I just got a call from NASCAR. Someone at comms, and they're like, we want to change that thumbnail. They didn't love how you did it. I was like, oh my God, like they're watching your content. He goes, yeah. And I was like, so yeah, basically, you never know who's watching your content.
That's how you know you made it. I never got a single phone call about the episode title that Joey Logano is Katniss Everdeen. Nobody called.
True.
Whoa,
Nobody called.
Wait a second. Hold on. Can we back up for a second? I need to know context.
I think it was something about how he like broke the script by winning the championship.
He was going against the Capitol, which was the script. It was like literally I think it was our third episode in one of our most
I think people were like, I gotta listen to the fucking argument. We had a full thing. I think we had assigned characters to like most of the NASCAR industry. So yeah, it was like very, very drawn out bit essentially.
I need to watch this video now, because also fun fact about me, I used to be, still kind of am, huge fangirl about everything. The walls in my like childhood bedroom plastered with Hunger Games stuff. I always wore a braid, a leather jacket, Mockingjay pinned to school. This was me. Yeah.
Oh my God, Taylor, we would have been so close. Like the amount of YouTube videos I watched on how to do that like Katniss braid that like went around the back of your head. I don't know why like I needed to watch like 17 hours of tutorials to grasp how to do that, but I was clocked it.
It's difficult. It's hard to do.
Yeah. To be fair, Katniss had a skill.
She did. It was frozen.
No. Yes. We'll be sure to let you know if we get any phone calls about any of our thumbnails. Nothing yet. Nothing yet.
No, I've nothing yet. So this is good. This is great.
Yeah, rats. Honestly, that's how you know you made it. I'm kind of jealous now. New goal unlocked.
Kind of. We mentioned Formula One, so I'm saying that this is what I'm pivoting off of. But I've seen you get into Formula One this year, or maybe you've watched for a while, but we loved watching your reactions to like the IndyCar races this year. I think it was specifically the Milwaukee Mile.
Oh, I was like,
oh my God, yes.
One that we were like
So
clocked into your Twitter. We're like,
Yeah.
Taylor's having a good time watching it.
You were live tweeting
so bad.
I was like, MJ, Taylor Kitchen is live tweeting an IndyCar race right now. I was like, we've made it.
You guys
Breaking
know
news.
if I enjoy something, like I will be live tweeting it because some NASCAR races, I'm like, what's the point of me tweeting the same thing that 30 million other people are? If I love a race or some like shit's going down, I'm typing about it, and that race was phenomenal. Sorry, continue.
No, I love it. But I just wanted to know, like, what other motorsport series do you watch outside of NASCAR? And then also, like, who are we rooting for in, like, IndyCar and F1?
Okay. So because of my new job with Motorsport, I've had to learn a lot about F1.
Mm-hmm.
More than I thought I would need to know, but like very, very helpful since I'm like all over their social media and stuff. And shout out to my coworker, Ryan DaCosta, who's an absolute like social media mastermind. Incredible. So now I watch Formula One. And that's been interesting to learn like the lore and things like that with certain things. IndyCar, MotoGP kind of getting into a little bit, very high level. Don't totally understand it, but it is so freaking cool. So that's definitely one I'm like, kind of like, I think during the off season, I might take a deep dive and be like, okay, what's this all about? NHRA, incredible. Brittany Force, oh my God. Like, I hate that she's going to be leaving the driver's seat, but I'm so happy for her to be starting a family and working on that. And, but she literally, icon, love her. Ida Zetterstrom, icon, love her, got to interview her on the platform, but NHRA has been so cool and they've been so welcoming to us, answering all of our many questions about how the sport works. But that's been a motorsports series that I've just totally, dove into. That's been fun. But who I'm rooting for in each series, I feel like for IndyCar, like this goes back to Penske. I like Joseph Newgarden.
Mm-hmm.
Like I get everyone's like, oh, he's a villain now. I'm like, he was never a villain. He's not a villain. You're just making him a villain.
He's not a villain to me.
He's never been like that.
Thank you. Okay, because like this is a narrative.
That's not who we know.
No, that's not who we know. We know Penske
That's not my son.
Joseph Newgarden.
It's defamation at a certain point. It's like, that's not the Joseph I see on my television.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, love Joseph. Love Pato too. My fiance's dad is a huge Pato fan because he likes his name. But like the moment that sold it for him was we were at Mid-Ohio. And my fiance's dad goes like, Pato, and he looks back and like waves at him, and he goes, "That's my driver." I'm like, sold.
That's so wholesome.
We love Pato. I think NHRA, like I said, Brittany Force is incredible. Ida Zetterstrom is awesome. Tony Stewart. I mean, obviously, like the NASCAR gal has to love Tony Stewart. Bob Tasca. Like I think. What's so fascinating about NHRA is there's so many fantastic personalities. They just do not get enough coverage. I think a lot of it is either people don't understand how it operates. They're not on a larger platform. They're on Fox. But there's so many good personalities there that I would highlight. Formula One, here's my thing. I'm still kind of undecided. I really don't know. I want to not like Max Verstappen because it's like he's the guy. And I'm like, I don't know. I also don't want to be like a McLaren fan because that just seems boring. But like, I like McLaren. Lewis is so lovable. I mean, you gotta love Lewis. Like Ferrari. I honestly like. I think what's sold me on maybe being a Carlos Sainz fan here is the unicorn thing. And I know this is like the thing right now, but it was like the first big race I covered for Formula One. And I was like, he's just so lovable, and I love the attention to his fans. And I'm like. When this guy's successful, like I feel like I've won something. So maybe a Carlos Sainz fan. I don't know.
Oh, we are so back, folks.
Music to Andrea's ears.
No, I think like F1 is. I think like I entered F1 and I was like I'm a Carlos Sainz fan, and then it kind of like grew from there. But I do think that like. Whatever you pick as your fan when you first start watching, or whoever you think you're a fan of when you first start watching motorsport, it is always going to change, and you are always going to look back at yourself and be like, "What was I on?" And like my biggest one was You two need to like go to like a group therapy or something because MJ's in her Chase Elliott era, and like you need to like come to her as like a recovered Chase Elliott fan.
I don't know. He just seems kind of pathetic, and that's my type in drivers. I'm like, I don't know. He seems really sad all the time and upset, and I don't know. I'm into it.
Yeah. But like I used to be a big like I can't like Max Verstappen, and like he forced his way into my heart, and now I'm like I'm sorry. I think he can commit a lot of crimes, and I'd be okay with it. You know what I mean? I think he does it with such an attitude and such a pizzazz. I'll allow it, but. Me and MJ are coming up on the George Russell train. We might be like, you know, lately we've been like, he's kind of the funniest person to ever exist, guys.
Like the Woody from Toy Story guy in Formula 1?
See, that's what you think.
You know exactly who we're talking about.
Yes. You got to clock in on the George Russell stuff, man. He gives us, he basically like, I feel like he must be getting a side paycheck from F1 just to stir up drama. Like, I think that they're like, hey, you seem like you could do this for the love of the game. Do you mind starting something? And he'd be like, absolutely. I would have done it for free, but I'll take the check.
Okay. I like a little drama. That's kind of fun. Okay. I'll be on the lookout for more George Russell stuff. I will say for Motorsport today, I made a meme about him being like Woody because I saw him in the cowboy hat. I'm like, he kind of looks like Woody. And then like my coworker was like, yeah, that's kind of the whole joke. Like it's been the joke. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm learning. So did that today. But you know what? Okay. I'll keep an eye out. I'll learn the ways. Yeah.
And we're learning like the NASCAR ways. You know what I mean? Like I feel like when we first started talking about NASCAR, the biggest thing I learned right away is like, I maybe was too vocal up front about liking Denny Hamlin. Like, I was like, I didn't realize that y'all were going to react this way. Right. You know what I mean? Like, but now everybody's reversing course. And now everybody this last week was like, whether you like him or not, we can all admit we want to see Denny win a championship. And I'm like,
and here's my thing.
You guys are just trying to get on the bandwagon.
Thank you. Because here's my thing. I've been a Denny fan since day one. Love Denny. Now, I will say when he wrecked out Chase Elliott like a few years back, I have the car back here.
See, and I wasn't there for that. You know what I mean? So I
hated Denny
ignore
at that moment. Because I was like, I hate this. But like ever since then, I'm like, Denny's like, he's a winner, proven winner, really talented, super vocal. Love that for drivers. And like he has this podcast and he's going to say whatever the hell he wants to say. And I'm like, I love that. We need somebody like that in the sport. And I think more fans that used to not like him are now like, Denny's the only one that's vocally like preaching what we want in the sport. And now fans have latched on to him. And like, obviously, like the 60th win for him. Who doesn't love that? Like it was such an emotional I've never seen Denny with that emotion. And it struck me, and knowing the situation with his dad and like, I don't know, like it was a win to love. And now, of course, because of, the drama with the lawsuit and stuff like that, everyone wants Denny to win this damn championship this year, whether you're anti-NASCAR, whether you're want to feel good story, whether you're just like, I want somebody who is the most consistent all season long to win, because let's be real, I think if anyone wins it this year and we're going to consider it like this makes sense, it's Denny Hamlin. I'm here for it. But the bandwagon fans who are like, Denny sucked like a year ago, and now they're like, Denny's my favorite driver. I'm like, okay, I can appreciate the 180 here, but I'm also like, you weren't here since day one. So
yeah, I've been here since my day one, which was like basically 1 calendar year ago. So that's not really that long.
That's your
but
day
like
one,
I went through my own trenches, folks. Okay, you ever go on TikTok and say you like Denny Hamlin? It's not freaking easy out here.
Hey, that's brave, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Taylor. No, it's interesting. I wish that the show would have been more successful because I feel like nobody watches it. Maybe just me. I think I might be the one viewer of it. But Denny's kind of the main star of Full Speed, which is how I kind of started like looking into NASCAR. And so I was like, I don't know if you guys know this, but Netflix is painting him out to be actually the coolest dude ever. So like, Full Speed never took off the way like Drive to Survive did, but like if it had, NASCAR would be overrun by Denny Hamlin fans right now.
1000%. And everyone's like, why are they showing Denny this much? And I'm like, well, because he and his team were like the only ones that gave Netflix full access. So of course they're going to show Denny so much. But to Denny's benefit, like it made him a star in the sport. Like even to like Ryan Blaney gave them a lot of access to. And I'm like, it helps.
I think that's part of why I like Ryan is because he was like, he had basically like the people that were like featured heavily in Full Speed are the ones where I was like initially getting in. I was like, I'm interested. Now I did do like kind of a switch on Joey Logano. I used to think like, I think people are too mean to him maybe because I was like, he seems just kind of like a nerdy weirdo, like guy who just likes to drive cars. Like, can't we allow the guy to do that? And then I was like, I don't know. He kind of sucks. Sorry. I was like, might be.
From Katniss
I was like,
Everdeen
I was like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, guys. Might be. Like, I feel like I started to dread, and I used to be the same way about Joseph Newgarden, that red and yellow paint scheme. If I saw it, I was like, you guys are about to ruin the fun for everybody. Get out of here. Stop winning races. But now I'm like, I did kind of a switch on both of them.
And that's okay. Sometimes we do 180s on drivers. Like, they were like, okay, like them, now we hate them. Like, and that's fine. And sometimes, like, I will say, like, one driver for me was Austin Dillon. I never liked him. And I don't know why. I would just, like, don't. And then this is very recent. I grew to respect him as, like, a racer, as a businessman. I interviewed him after his win at Richmond this year. And it was just a whole different perspective. Very respectful, very kind, very, like, was very thorough on my questions. There was one moment, too, because there was a school of, like, what? I want to say, like, kindergartners, like, in the RCR shop after the win that day. There was a whole lot going on there. And there was a little girl wearing a 3 shirt that said Austin Dillon on it. Typically, when you see a 3 shirt, it doesn't say Austin Dillon. It says Dale Earnhardt, right? And so this was before we were filming the interview, and he, like, stopped, and he was like, oh, that's cool. Like, that girl's got my shirt on. And he's just, like, standing there kind of, like, in awe. Like a kid has his shirt on. It's not Dale, it's him. And I was like, oh my God, this showed me exactly who you are. And I was like, it was such a cool moment. So, like, everyone who's like, Austin Dillon, Silver Spoon, dumbass, he sucks, whatever. I'm like, okay, like, I get it. Like, privilege is great. But he recognizes that. Right. But, and, you know, you might not agree with everything that he does or whatever, but for me, it was like, I can understand who he is as a person. And I'm like, I really like him. And I think the gift for me working in this industry is I might not have loved Joey Logano at first, but I'm like, I've gotten to interview him, talk to him, and I know him as a person. Therefore, I'm like, I can't hate the guy. Even if I tried, can't. Same with Austin Dillon. Can't hate him. But it's been, like, cool to kind of go from, like, super fan to, like, neutral, but, like, fan of the sport more so as opposed to certain drivers. But that the Austin Dillon one was, like, really, really cool. But yeah, no, Joey Logano, though, my fiance's mom, very big Joey Logano fan. I forget what race it was, but he had, like, said something, like, dumb after a wreck or whatever. and she goes, oh, like, I didn't know Joey was this divisive. And I was like, oh, you have so much to learn. I was like, you have so much to learn. So
no, I think some of the stuff he offers is entertaining in, like, a villain aspect. You know what I mean?
1,000%.
So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, you gotta let him cook sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, I was cracking up when, like, people were booing him and he was like, is that for me?
Yeah.
And I was like, ugh. He's so humble. He doesn't even think they're booing him, but they are.
Well, then he'll have moments where, like, he's on pit road and he, like, gets the pole in qualifying and he'll cheer like he just won a race. And I'm like, that's the nerd Joey Logano coming out right now.
Yeah.
Like, so,
and he was on Lab Rats. Love that show. You know what I mean? He has his moments.
Oh my gosh.
and MJ can join you in the Dillon brothers thing because she, I think, is a Ty Dillon fan. I think is
huge Ty Dillon fan.
Yeah.
So for the same reason as Chase Elliott.
Oh
yeah. Okay.
I'm just like, he just seems kind of sad sometimes, and I don't know. I'm rooting for him.
I love Ty. He's also a great interview too. Very nice. I talked to him early in the season about just, like, his mindset change and things. He goes, I just feel like I've, like, weighted what I carry more, like, stress wise. And he was just very chill. And I'm like, I feel so relaxed after talking to Ty Dillon. Like, I feel like I can go on without my day feeling, like, confident. Like, I'm going to kick ass today. Like, that was the conversation. Like, he's so cool. Like, and he and Austin, like, they've been working together more with RCR. Like, I won't go on the whole spiel, but, like, it's cool to, like, learn more about those two and, like, what they're working towards. I think that's great.
Yeah. Well, we have a Dillon brother fan club. I have one more thing on this before we move on real quick.
Yes.
What do we have to do? It seems like you watch most motorsports. The only one I can think to add to your list would be supercars. Are you interested in getting up at 2 a.m. at any point in the future to watch supercars? What do we have to do to sell you on that one? You don't have enough on your plate, so I just thought maybe I'd add one more.
You know, supercars seems really, really cool. And don't get me wrong, like, I'd love to wake up at 2 a.m. and watch a race after a day of watching racing. Yeah. To be honest with you, I'm mostly up at 2 a.m. most days. But, like, I'm also like, you know what? I need to recharge sometimes. Like, again, touch grass, going back to that point. I think if I could watch the highlights of supercar races and start that way and then, like, really get invested into it, maybe. But 2 a.m., a little bit of a hard sell. But I don't know. Maybe.
I will say it is kind of nice because I feel like lately watching supercars, like almost every single driver in supercars has mentioned at some point like an interest in NASCAR, that they watch NASCAR, they see what SVG is doing. Some of them have like obviously gotten opportunities in Xfinity or Cup, but like seems like I'm investing early potentially on some future NASCAR drivers. I'm like, you know what? Someday when nobody knows who this person is, I get to be the know-it-all. That's like, yeah, I've been watching him for years in supercars. Yeah, I know who Brock Feeney is. And like, I get to, so as like a newer NASCAR fan, that's going to be my clout someday to cling to. And
It's
be
a
like
flex.
the know-it-all.
It
Yeah,
really
exactly.
is.
Yeah, this is like completely off topic of what we were talking about, but I want your perspective because it kind of seems like both IndyCar and NASCAR are kind of in their like, not rebrand era, but they're clearly trying to get back to the peak. What do you think is like the one piece that is missing for both of these series to kind of get back to like the good old days when they were both mainstream? NASCAR was a household name. People were actually watching IndyCar. Like what do you think they're missing?
I think here's the positive I think I can say for IndyCar is I think what they were missing they're finally getting to, which is just having a more solid platform to really push the series. And though I don't love Fox because I've just seen what they've done with the NASCAR product the past few years and I'm just like, ooh, don't love it. They are pushing IndyCar in the right direction. Excuse me. The numbers for IndyCar have gone up exponentially. I think more of the names in IndyCar are more recognizable. Maybe not household names yet. They're still, I think, a few years off for that. But I think if I were to mention like Alex Palou, more people would know who that is. So I think for me with IndyCar, it's just continue elevating the star power of their drivers and continue pushing the product forward. And a lot of that is with content creators, influencers, really differentiating what makes it better and or different than Formula One. So it's not looked at as IndyCar light because I hate that shit. I hate it.
Yeah.
So doing more of that to make IndyCar really IndyCar is I think maybe I guess more so what it's missing. For NASCAR, that's so tough. I was part of a whole discussion thing conference, I think 2 Tuesdays ago, where Jess Smith of NASCAR introduced us to the new NASCAR kind of reintroduction is what she called it, which was the hell yeah stuff that's going all around.
Yeah, I saw it on Twitter. I felt like maybe I wasn't supposed to see it on Twitter, but I was like, I'm seeing it on Twitter right now.
Oh my God. The amount of times I checked to make sure I could publish what I did on Twitter, because I was like, are we sure this is not for a closed group? Like whatever. And I got the confirmation like 3 times over. I'm like, okay, so if it's confirmed 3 times over, I can publish it. But like nobody else was doing it. So I'm like, am I breaking a story? This is kind of
no, I saw it a couple times before you, and I was like, see, this is why Taylor is the professional, is because she's out here and like giving us the actual information, not just saying, oh hell yeah.
Because people were just posting like the photo of the hell yeah, like with no context. I'm like, let's add context. I'm like, yeah, I'll add the context for you. But like
that's why, guys, Taylor is worth the Twitter follow, guys. You got to get on the Taylor Twitter follow.
I have some good stuff on Twitter, not gonna lie. I mean, I'm a little biased, but like I think my stuff on Twitter is cool. But I think what NASCAR is missing is within that presentation, Jess was like, we tried to be too many things to too many people. And I think we lost our way. And to a point, I feel like they had to lose their way to bring in more people, show that NASCAR is a welcoming environment and bring in different fans from different backgrounds and stuff, because NASCAR's stigma is what hurts them the most. Like when I went to my first NASCAR race, I was not comfortable going. I'm not going to lie. I was like, I'm a young gal. I don't really look at the whole gender thing, whatever. But I was more so like, am I going to be run into by drunk hillbillies and stuff like that? Like that was my assessment going into the race weekend. And it wasn't that at all. Like it was so much fun. And I'm like, if only the public could feel what a race weekend is actually like and like see the atmosphere and feel how safe it is and how welcoming it is for the most parts to a good chunk of people. Like I think it would help bring in more fans. And I think what Jess is trying to do in that whole 72 and Sunny thing is they're trying to figure out, how do we bring the experience that the fans have at the track to the people at home and get them invested? Because I think that's what's missing right now is that disconnect. And the thought process of we were everything to so many people when we lost our way. I don't know if I love the wording of it, but I can't think of a better wording for it. I think NASCAR kind of casted their net too wide in a sense where their branding just kind of was non-existent. And if it was, it just was NASCAR. And that's all you think of. You just think of NASCAR and cars going fast. What else is NASCAR though at its core? So I think what NASCAR is getting to, at least, is they're trying to find their branding again. I hope to God that when they continue finding their branding, that they continue making it known that NASCAR is an inclusive place. Because I am so concerned with what I was hearing in the hell yeah and the unapologetic whatever. It doesn't feel that way. And I think when all that stuff started coming out, it turned a lot of people off to NASCAR that are already kind of turned off because of burnout and fatigue and whatever. So I think the branding needs to be found again, but it needs to have a big message of we are bold and unapologetic, but we're also a space for anyone who wants to enjoy what we have to offer. I think that needs to be balanced. And with that too, I think what NASCAR could really benefit from is more breaks. And there's going to be people in the comments of like a tweet that I make about that or whatever that are like, I want to watch racing every day, all day. I'm like, well, you haven't done that probably. 365 days a year.
That's what the TV channel is for.
That's what the like. You don't have your eyes glued to
Girls,
Tubi.
get on.
Exactly.
Get on the Tubi channel if you're so interested.
Because I'm like, you can have racing whenever you want, but like, for me, the way the sport is right now with only one off weekend and that not being an off weekend because a lot of the media too was at Rockingham covering that race.
Yeah.
Like, we've been watching racing and covering it and invested in this world since the beginning of February, like end of January. And then we're going to be invested in it during the off season because of all the lawsuit shit. And I'm like, we need to detox a little bit more. I think that's what Formula One schedule has working for them. They also have more pop culture relevance, which helps them stay more present. And I think their drivers are more active on socials and, providing their personalities to fans, which I think helps. IndyCar, I think to their detriment, has a lot of breaks, which hurts them.
Radio silent breaks too.
But it's the radio silence that kills them. But I think if NASCAR could go to like 30 races a year, if that's the bare minimum, like I'd love that.
I'd cut it. I feel like a lot of people are arguing about TV numbers, and I am a newer fan, so keep that in mind. I can't help but to think it's like the season is...
It's long.
You're asking people to tune in every single Sunday for most of the year. That's like just not... There are going to be weekends where people are going to be like, I've been watching NASCAR for the last 20 weekends in a row.
Yeah.
I have to log off and not watch this weekend. And it will have, I think, an impact on your TV numbers.
Like, and I thought about this, and this is where I look back and I'm like, I'm glad I had the tenacity and drive to do what I did when I did it coming up. But like, I planned my graduation party from college around a NASCAR race on a Sunday because that's when my family could visit. And I'm like, and I'll celebrate, but I'm like, but I need to watch the race because I need to cover it. Or like big moments in life, I'm like, I got to cover the race. And this is what the drivers do all the time. And their families, like, this is their career. This is what they do. But I'm like, I wish there was like a few more free Sundays. Like this past week for Las Vegas, I'm going to be honest, thought the race was not going to be great. I'm like, is there any value of me covering it? No, I need a damn off week. I took the weekend and put my phone down, and it was the best weekend of my life. And I'm like, we need more of those, or the entire industry can take off. Like next year, I think it's August 1st and 2nd. There is no major racing series happening that weekend as far as I know. And I'm like, the entire industry, you're not going to hear from anybody. We're all going to be at the beach. We're all going to be in the mountains, wherever we're going to be, not doing anything. So very long spiel too there, but that's helpful.
I also think like IndyCar, I think maybe has fair criticism about too short of a season and too many breaks between races. I do think F1 does have something interesting where like the season goes very long into the calendar, but because of just the nature of logistics of traveling worldwide, there are like breaks. Yeah. And I think it does something interesting for the racing and the storylines too, because it allows you to like, if somebody's on a super bad run of races, it gives them that week, 2 weeks to like, can the storyline be like, how are they going to come back from this break and break that like a bad run of races they've had? Maybe there is like true fixes that could be done to the car or like time in the sim. And like, I think it does something interesting to like kind of build tension throughout the season of like, here's a good run of races, here's a bad run of races. Whereas like in NASCAR, it all runs together, literally. It's like if you have one bad weekend and then you have a great weekend the next weekend, there's no storyline to build between those two weekends.
And I feel like because the weekends bleed together so much, there's a lot you forget. I think too, like I was trying to think about like a few weekends ago, I was trying to prepare for like the upcoming weekend. I'm like, where were we just at? And I'm like, we were just there. So I should remember this, but sometimes it's just a lot. And I remember like I was talking to Toby Christie, and I think I talked to Jeff Gluck about this too. Actually, this was Darlington earlier this year. Also
That's
love
such
Jeff.
a flex.
Shout out. He's such a cool guy. Like
Icon.
he and Jordan, I love them. But I was talking to him earlier this year, and he was just talking about how kind of taxing it is because they used to have a few days at the track to like build storylines, like Wednesday, Thursday, or you would get in on like Wednesday, you'd be at the track Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you'd get plenty of media time. And these drivers aren't rushing to go to different places, and you could build out stories. Yes, it's still a back-to-back season, but at least you have kind of breathing room to tell authentic stories and really push them and whatever. Now you have one day for media, and it's packed in with like Xfinity Series practice and qualifying, and then their race, and then in between that you have Cup Series practice and qualifying. You don't have time to write anything. So a lot of what you get from NASCAR because of the influx of just scheduling and whatever is like, can Ty Dillon follow up on another top 10? I hate those stories. That's what you're kind of forced to write sometimes because you just don't have time to flesh something out. And so I think NASCAR, though we want to have all these races on the schedule for revenue from the tracks and whatever, like if you want to have actual interesting stories in the sport, you have to give breaks so the writers, the content creators have actual time to tell the stories. Hiring more content creators to cover the same race and hoping that they create different content could help. It would be costly. And part of me is like, maybe that's the move. But my thing is like, you have to space things out to let these stories shine. And that's what the sport is getting killed by right now.
Yeah, I definitely think that like fans can be burnt out as well. And like, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's a big ask for people to tune in every Sunday forever and ever. Well, MJ has some rapid fires for you.
Yeah, these are just fun little silly little questions, okay? Okay, so first one. They're fun little silly little questions is what I'm prefacing this with.
Okay, I love them.
That's your preface. Okay.
They're fun and they're silly. Did we mention
they're fun and they're silly? I know. I just like read the first 3 words and I'm like, I just want to preface that everything I'm saying here is a joke and it's silly and it's goofy. Okay. What is your go-to musical theater karaoke song and which NASCAR driver would you enlist to sing it with?
No, okay. So I feel like this is such an easy answer and I hate it. I hate this for myself. But if we're talking musical theater, because this is the first thing I think of, Defying Gravity, and it's me, and then I feel this is going to be a really odd answer too, Austin Cindric. So,
and he's Glinda, right?
Correct.
He's Glinda, right? He's Glinda, right?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Of course, I don't even know why I asked. I mean, of course he's Glinda. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know why him, because he does not fit the Glinda vibe, but I think he'd have so much fun with it. He can be goofy. So yeah.
So I'm going to like give like a little peek behind the curtain a little bit. I did one time mention to you, I had a list of people I was too much of potentially a fangirl to actually ever meet in person. And I think Austin Cindric's on that list, by the way.
You know, side tangent again, I don't get starstruck by drivers. There's only been 3 that I really have, and I can't explain why. Brad Keselowski, can't explain why. I just think I met him and I was like, this guy's legit, and I love Brad. Cindric was one of them too, where I was like, I'm just going to ask him a question. I got there, I was like, why am I nervous? Like, this is really weird. And Cindric's like a great guy to talk to. Like, I genuinely great answers. Like, and I feel like another one I think was not even starstruck. I just was like really nervous to talk to Justin Haley. I don't know why.
MJ's also a big fan of Justin Haley. It's a tough time in this.
Justin Haley's cool. Podcast. I like him too.
Yeah,
like those are the 3 drivers where I'm like kind of starstruck. But no, Austin Cindric karaoke I think would be so funny. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's literally like, there's no reason for me to be too nervous to talk to him. He's literally probably like one of the most seems like one of the most approachable guys ever. But I couldn't even take a picture with him.
And then even to like Kyle Busch, I was so damn nervous to interview him before the 500 this year because I was doing something with Racing America where we were interviewing people like ahead of the 500, big storylines, whatever. And I was like, my producer Krista, shout out to Krista, who was my producer when I was there, love her. I was like, how's Kyle? Like the interview, she goes, are you nervous? I'm like, well, I'm not gonna lie, like I've seen media clips and he can be a little scary. She goes, Kyle's the nicest, like it's fine, nicest guy, great interview, loved every second of it. And I was like, okay, now I'm no longer scared to go up to Kyle and ask questions. So you got to get over the fear. Oh, that's all.
Yeah. Well,
rapid fire. Sorry.
Sorry. No, it's okay.
Rapid fire.
It's so rapid.
Okay. It's
going so fast.
Okay, and this one might be a layup, maybe not. In any series, who is a driver who hasn't won a championship that you would love to see win a championship?
Okay, so Denny Hamlin, but that feels too easy. That feels really easy. So I'm gonna say Denny. But if I had to pick another driver right now, I don't know why. You know what? I don't think he's going to ever win a championship, but I want to be proven wrong. But I'd love to see Ryan Preece win a championship. I just think that'd be so good for grassroots.
Are you doing fan service right now? Is this what this is? You think you can come on our show and mention Austin Cindric and Ryan Preece? What do you think this is, Taylor? We're already friends with you. You don't have to do fan service with us.
And I swear to God, it's not because he offered me a pizza roll in the media center this past weekend. Like, I
saw you in that video.
I saw that.
Wait. I saw you in the background of the video. I go, that's Taylor Kitchen. I know her. She got a pizza roll from Ryan Preece.
He goes, well, do you want a pizza roll? And I was like, I'm a little tempted. I love pizza rolls. But no, like,
Was it cold?
I didn't actually get one. I was too nervous to do it because I was like, can I actually or can I not? Apparently you actually could. But no, I just think Ryan Preece winning a championship would be so good. I did, but it was legit. But it's okay. Maybe next time. Hopefully Pizza Rolls comes back.
You thought Ryan Preece was just pulling a big prank season, everyone? Ha!
You never know.
Thought I was going to give you a pizza roll, Taylor Kitchen. Now this is on the internet and everybody's laughing.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? It's okay. Next time.
Okay.
I like that answer.
Final rapid fire question. Would you rather... It's super rapid.
It's going so fast.
That's the name of the game. Would you rather not have access to Twitter anymore or give up your diecast collection?
Oh, God. No, why?
This is the torture segment.
I have to think about this.
Rapid fire.
Hot new segment on lapped traffic. Torture.
You know what? Twitter is such a gosh darn just whatever right now. And I've made other platforms my home. I could never give up any of these over 90 diecasts behind me. The at least 124. Yeah. So I'm keeping my diecast collection. Gotta keep it.
Yeah. You're like that. TikTok is our home meme. Yeah. When they tried to take it from it. TikTok is our home. Don't take it.
Don't take it.
I will say you have really introduced me to a whole world of diecast collecting. I didn't really know was a thing. I feel like it's like since I've started hanging out with you at ATYL Media people more, I feel like me and MJ have been influenced. We've talked about diecast a lot. We've never pulled the trigger on one. I think it's because we're scared of our potential. We're like, man, we could really rack up a shelf behind us, like the A2IL folks, you know what I mean? And they'd be all jealous, of course. It'd be full of Ryan Preece stuff and, you know, Austin Cindric stuff, like the hot commodity ones, the collector items, really.
You know, I just started growing my Austin Cindric diecast collection, so I have some Austin Cindric ones, and then I have a Ryan Preece truck. Yeah, so I'll know if my apartment's broken into, I'll be like, Andrea. Yeah. So.
I heard it's nice out tonight. Leave your window open. I have to say, from serious note, we don't do it often. From the bottom of our heart, thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to do content with ATYL Media this year. We're gonna keep the 4 laps ball moving and hopefully make some new IndyCar fans along the way. But I think that you are a lot more of an inspiration than you sometimes give yourself credit for. So I'm glad in this interview we could fully give you some flowers for especially the confidence you gave us to talk about NASCAR, and also like the kindness you showed us to be like, no, people like it when you guys joke and like, you know, make things fun in NASCAR, because I definitely think it was a big impact on me and MJ. So thank you. Do you have anything sweet and sentimental to say, MJ? It's like kind of the moment for that.
I'm not really good at sweet and sentimental, but we do have to ask her to manifest something, because so far we have two kind of. So this is just a moment we like to give everyone who is on Lap Traffic, just a moment to put something out into the universe and manifest something. Our success rate is like, some could say
it's honestly arguable. Good. Yeah, like there's some things that are still open-ended could come true. So like it has some weight to it, you know what I mean? So like use it wisely.
Okay.
Don't say you want to win the Indy 500. Somebody already took that one.
Someone already.
Okay. Wait, who's manifesting?
It can't happen for both of you guys. Take it up with Christian Rasmussen.
Christian Rasmussen.
Oh, God, no. I was
gonna say, take it up with him.
Oh my gosh. Let me think. Maybe you know what? Manifest that next year I'll cover a championship race. I'm gonna manifest that.
Yeah.
Manifest.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do a thing where I manifest for the guest. Would you like me to do that for you?
Please.
I've done that for other people. I always am telling MJ how much I need you to be like our pit lane reporter someday, like on like main network television.
Yes.
I think you got the
my
stuff.
God.
I want to see you with the scanner on. I want to see you talking to people in the pit box, being like, turns out fuel savings fake. And then I want to like, I want you to like do the whole thing. So I'm manifesting for you. Someday we get Taylor Kitchen
Oh my
on
gosh.
main network television as a pit lane reporter.
I've gotten
Is that allowed?
it is allowed. I've gotten my taste of pit road
Okay.
reporting, and
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, she's
love
got
it.
it. Like, I need more.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we'll manifest that. We'll do that. I like
Yeah.
that.
I guess I should start asking people before if they like the thing I'm manifesting for them. Because what if she was like, I
Sure.
hated pit lane
Hey, I'm a
reporting?
big fan. I'm a big fan of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Worked out this time.
And yeah. And MJ doesn't want to manifest anything, I don't think.
No. I'd like to manifest you as a pit lane reporter, like, but for us, for me.
Okay.
Have you ever met Jack Harvey by chance? Would you like to? Yeah, we'll have to coordinate schedules. We're getting you to an IndyCar race, girl. I see
Wait a
in
minute.
your future.
That would be so good.
Jack Harvey.
Yeah. I need honestly, Taylor Kitchen, Jack Harvey.
Dream team.
New
Right there.
duo in
Perfect.
town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Truly.
Truly.
Catch me on Fox next year, you guys. Let's manifest that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Pit road.
Okay. Well, now we can like Midwestern goodbye the podcast, maybe, where we
Love
just
that.
like continuously say nice things about Taylor and then never actually end the episode. Do you want to do that maybe? Okay. All right, fine, I'll end it. Jeez, don't make me. Anyways, be sure to check her out on ATYL Media. ATYL is just your personal account, right? Media, the big one. ATYL, just you?
Yeah, above the line's just me. ATYL Media is the entire lovely team. And then,
Okay.
Yeah, at _ Taylor Kitchen _ on all other platforms. Lots of handles, but lots of good content.
Exactly. That's what I always say whenever they ask about Taylor Kitchen. I say she has lots of handles, but it's good content.
Lots of good content.
All right. I'm actually ending the podcast. Goodbye, everyone.